Hello, Michigan faithful. We're here with Coach Thornbladh. That somebody told me it was the heartbeat of the Michigan Wolverine football this week. So here with the heartbeat of Michigan football, Coach Thornbladh, we're going to talk a little bit about the Minnesota game and then obviously dive into Washington. Uh, Minnesota, we squeaked out with a victory, exact same score as it was versus USC, 27-24.
3.23.
Yeah, 3-point victory. It was great to see our guys play a full four-quarter game, especially with as many starters out that, four injured players that got a lot of time, and then a fifth guy got injured that starts and plays a lot of downs for us. And to compete against a really good Minnesota team that was hard-nosed. You could see the way they fought back in the second half, the way they ran the ball. That crazy touchdown catch Daniel Jackson made. So yeah, really good victory for Michigan to win the Brown Jug. Coach, what did you think of how we played on Saturday?
Well, certainly the second half is a disappointment. We did not come out with the same resolve, in my opinion, and our offense was anemic. And I think we played a little too much man-to-man, and their quarterback got hot. And when you play man-to-man, you better get to the quarterback. Now, that quarterback understood that the ball had to come out fast. So, you have to get to him. And if you don't get to him, you're going to get ripped. And I just thought after he completed some passes against us when we were playing man, that maybe we should have backed off and forced him to throw in his own and collapse on the ball. But that said, George Patton said that when you have the enemy on the run and about to defeat them, you pursue them with all vigor and you put them down. And we didn't do that. We had
Absolutely.
21-0. We gave them 3 points. And then there was sloppy play. And then we made some mistakes in the kicking game. It's inexcusable. Chrysler said that Michigan fears no kick returner or punt returner. We kick the ball and we cover and we tackle. And that's how we do it. So you can't allow those things to happen. And then I believe that there were 2 infractions. One wasn't real on the onside. Apparently, they did touch the ball before it went 10 yards, and they pushed it forward. So anyway, that was not a valid play, and there's some, debate over whether the kid was offside or not, but it should never come down to that. Minnesota came out with resolve, and they outplayed us the second half, and we can't have that. We have to learn from that. We have to play all out. Now, injuries are, it's a big factor in college football and pro football. Look what happened to the Dolphins. They lost Tua. They're falling apart right now. I'm sure they'll rally and they'll pull it together. But that was a devastating injury. So injuries are critical. And, we need Will Johnson out there.
Yeah.
Particularly if we're going to blitz. Because he's a shutdown corner. So I just felt like I'm happy we won. And we got out of there by the skin of our teeth. But I'm also disturbed that we didn't play a second half the same way we played the first half and just finished them and just put them out. And that's what we have to do. Minnesota played hard. I think, all things said, I think the umpire or the referee might have been hurt prior to the game because there was a person back there with a black hat. The referee wears a white hat. And I do think there was some holding in there, particularly against Graham and Grant. But that aside, we won the game, but too narrowly for my liking. And we have to learn from it. We're a young team. Once we get a team down, we take them out, particularly in Michigan Stadium. And we can't afford to do that. Now, there's positive things there, too. We came out with a win. Our offense continues to be one-dimensional. And it's difficult to win with a one-dimensional offense. Now, we can continue to talk about how we're going to measure up like that. I just feel like we've got to complete some passes. And we have to back the defense off. everybody's going to put 8 men in the box and then run the safety to the ball and then play man-to-man coverage and dare us to complete passes. I would like to see us incorporate some trick plays. I would like to see us bootleg. Get this kid out on the perimeter to threaten the perimeter. Now, he's a big, thick, strong runner. He's not elusive like Lamar Jackson or, for instance, Jaden, the great player that won the Heisman last year. He's not that kind of a guy, but he's got great speed and athletic ability, and he come out there and give us positive plays with his feet. By the same token, we got to devise some ways to get the ball downfield and to complete the ball. I like our second team tight end started to emerge. Mullings is a competitive, tough guy that takes us on his back when he's required to. Donovan, had a big run, but Donovan can't drop that ball in a critical situation like that. He's our team leader, and he can't allow that ball to be punched out. That ball has to be secure. And anyway, we're out of there. Sonny Jurgensen used to say, the great quarterback for the Washington, now the Commanders, we used to say, let's when they lost an ugly game, let's burn the film and then play next week. But this film was a great teaching device for our coaches, and I hope they put it to use. Now, that said, we're going to play a Washington team, Rob, that's a lot like us. They lost their head coach and much of the staff. They lost 10 players to the draft. I think I wrote it down there. They had 3 players in the first round, 2 in the second, 2 in the third. And, of course, we know them. They played us in a national championship game. And it was a closely hot contested game, if you remember, until we really, our will and our toughness was able to wear them down, and then we put the game away really prior to the finish. At the end, I don't think Pennick wanted anything to do with the guys that were rushing the passer that day. So, and they've lost, I think they lost 41 lettermen, and they have a brand new coach, a coach that we're familiar with. And he's a fine coach, and he did a really great job at Arizona and earned the Washington job. So we lost 13 players in the draft, a first-round quarterback. They lost 10, first-round quarterback, some great receivers. We lost 2 great receivers. They had Ordunez and another receiver drafted high, Ordunez in the first round. So we're not dissimilar that way. And it's an interesting matchup. We have to go on the road after 5 straight home games. And the University of Washington has won 17 consecutive home games. So we have a great challenge. Now, I used to like away games because teams could come together. Everybody was against you, and you circled the wagon, and it was great feeling, particularly if you had confidence. But I'll mention this again. We have some young players out there, and these guys have to grow up.
What worries me, Coach, is the famous saying is defense travels. Offense, it's a little tougher to go in somebody else's stadium, hear the noise, get your plays in, execute, and then keep that momentum going because you're playing not only the defense, the crowd, and everybody else.
And they have a good defense. Their defense has been good this year. I think they've let. I mean, they've had a couple weaker opponents, and they've lost 2 games. They've lost Rutgers, and I think they should have won that game. I think they should have won that game against Rutgers. And they lost to Washington State, and I did not see that game, but that's a rivalry game. And Washington left them alone, left them back in Washington, where they went to the Big Ten. So I'm sure there was strong feeling in that game. And Jed Fish is just starting to get the feel for the thing. Now they have, the coordinators are names that we know.
Belichick's kid. Yeah.
Belichick, and the offense coordinator is Pete Carroll's son, Brendan.
Yeah, I know.
Brendan Carroll. And then they have some other guys populated in there with NFL experience. And, of course, Jed had experience in the NFL. And I mentioned to you, I think that's to the benefit of the program and the coaches because they're familiar with, what's going on and how football's evolved. And they're able to bring some different ideas to college football and help expand, the system, their own systems. So those guys, I'm sure, have, and he himself has learned under Spurrier and Harbaugh and Belichick. He's coached for all those guys. So there was always a theory you can't become a great head coach unless you have mentored and been around a role model, a great head coach. And so he's had Billick, back when he was with the Ravens, and I think they won the Super Bowl back then. And the great Steve Spurrier. Pete Carroll, in my estimation, is one of the great coaches that has ever coached football.
I
I
agree.
just think he's really talented. And of course, Belichick is Belichick. Belichick is the winningest coach, I think, in the history of professional football. And so, these guys have been around great coaches, and his assistants are the offspring of great coaches. So they'll bring a lot to the ballpark, and I'm sure they'll be anxious to beat Michigan. And I'm sure the fans are anxious to beat Michigan after we defeated them last year, so they'll be highly motivated. Now, I
Well,
would like to talk for a second, and then we'll get into more detail about them and our guys, about the conference. Our
well,
goal.
Coach, before we go on to the conference, I just want to say we highlight a couple things from last game that I think are of note. Hausman, Will linebacker, had 9 tackles. He
He
came
was
in. He
outstanding.
played all over the place. Jair Hill, his toe tap interception was unbelievable. He sprinted to the guy, turned his body, got underneath that pick, made an unbelievable play.
He gets better every week. He really does, Rob. You see these guys evolving, these young
Yes.
guys. He struggled a little bit against Texas. Man, he's getting better every week.
I think the same. I said him last week. Barry, you saw him hit that guy, grab the ball, rip it out. You said the key to victory, and I don't want to beat this game up, is we have to get up early. We're not a come from behind team. We need to win the turnover. We need to win special teams. Well, we got up early. We had a punt block, and then we won the turnover battle. So
Yeah,
that was those are the key to victory.
yeah,
And I just wanted to say that about our defense. I think they're getting a lot better. And I think that our it kind of depicted how the game went. If you heard PJ Fleck talk about it after the game, he said, well, we had to start throwing because we had to get Wink out of all his looks. He comes at us with so many looks. He goes, we started the quick game. The quick game got us going in the second half. We didn't get to bury him because we couldn't get our offense going. But, we did run the ball hard. I wish we could have scored a couple more points in that second half. But I just wanted to highlight those kids because I think
yeah.
they've really improved.
Now, let me give you a stat. Michigan is allowing 68 yards rushing a game. People
Wow.
can't run on us.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a stat. Now they're throwing for 248, but we're forcing them into passing situations.
And we've given up some big plays by missed coverages. So
And the average rush against Michigan is 2.8 yards. So we have a remarkable, and you talked about Barnum and Hausman, and of course, I just think the world of those 2 tackles. Now we need Stewart back, but some of the other kids came to play, and they're flying around, and they have a lot of enthusiasm, and they've given us turnovers. So and Coach Wink has only been there. He's only been with us for the spring and then a few games, and as it all comes together. And the coaching staff gets better every week. The kids start to understand what he's doing better every week. His staff understands better, and they're all learning together. And so I do see signs that we're getting better. I just don't think we can, coaches as a coach, you can tolerate a collapse like that. It shouldn't happen. And now some things have to go right when a team comes back like that, and they did for them. When they called Mason Graham on that 4th down, the other kid was underneath his jaw too.
yeah.
So it should have been offsetting penalties. But that aside, I do feel like the person who was the referee couldn't see. It was a smaller person. I don't think they could see. She could see what was going on with those big guys. And I think because she would have a white hat, I do not think she was accustomed to being a referee. But that aside, we won a game.
Yeah.
And
We're
that's
2-0 in the Big Ten, Coach.
Well, let
2-0
me
in
say
the
this. So there are 2 teams that lead the conference right now that are 2-0, and that's the University of Michigan and Indiana. There are 5 teams that are 1-0, and of course, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Rutgers, Iowa. And by the way, I think Iowa will be the toughest opponent Ohio State has played thus far, and they'll
Yeah.
play this weekend prior to the Ohio State-Oregon game. So the next few weeks are going to be interesting in the league. And then there are 5 teams that are 1-1, including the University of Washington. Now, in my opinion, 2 losses and you're out. You're not going to vie for the Big Ten championship. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get in the CFP. There's a chance you could do that. But I think if you don't play in the championship game, it's going to be hard because there's 5 other conferences. It's going to be, if you don't play in the championship game, I think it's going to be difficult. And maybe some team you could have 1 loss, I guess, and not play in the championship game. But it's going to be difficult to be named and be part of the college football playoffs. So with 2 losses, there are 3 teams with 2 losses, in my opinion, and that's Maryland, Minnesota, UCLA. They're out. Doesn't mean they can't have wonderful, successful seasons, but they're out. And then Northwestern, Wisconsin, Purdue all have 1 loss, so they're still in there. But 2 losses, you're out. So for Washington, in a real way, this is a must-win game. And it also is a must-win game for us. We're 2-0 in the conference. We have several tough games coming up, and so we got to win this game.
Well,
I always like to look at what's going on in the conference because, that's our express purpose is to win the Big Ten Western Conference. And if we do that, the other things we want to do will fall into place. But the first things first, and that's win the conference. And, of course, that's to beat our next opponent. We have to do that. So
here's our introduction to the expanded Big Ten this week. We go on the road. We travel to Washington. I mean, how, have you ever coached or played against Washington at Washington? What's it like up there?
Actually, yes, I have. And we won. It's a wonderful crowd up there. They have the tailgate. They come up at Puget Sound and they tailgate on the water. And, they're great football fans. And they've had great teams in the University of Michigan. We've had some great battles in Rose Bowl. I think we played 5 times.
Yeah.
So there's a real history between us. Don James is the person who resurrected that program. And Don James coached at the University of Michigan for a long time for Bump Elliott and was highly regarded. And some people thought Don would get the job before they gave Coach Schembechler. So he was a wonderful coach, and he did a great job out there. And had great teams, and we had great contests out there. So, but we're not unaccustomed to going across country. I remember when I was a junior, we went out and played UCLA, the number 1 team in the country. They were prohibited favorites, and we beat them soundly in the Coliseum. And, when you're 18, 19, 21 years old, you just get on a plane, you eat your sandwich and you go to sleep, and they recover quickly. For old guys like me, it's a little more difficult. But so, I think that, flying 3 or 4 hours in a plane, a lot of guys study. Some guys sleep. Some guys look at film, look at the tablets. But I don't think that's such a big undertaking. And I think sometimes, particularly after 5 games at home, it's good to come together like that. When everybody's against you, it's a wonderful feeling. And you have confidence, and you're with a brand of brothers. You play as a team, and it's a fun thing to do, going in a hostile stadium. Now, these are young guys. We have a lot of young guys that are unaccustomed to this, so it'll be a good learning lesson.
There's nothing like going on the road, Coach. There's nothing like packing up, getting on the bus. Well, now that these guys take planes, but
they're getting on first class. They're going first class.
Yeah. You used to put, 3 or 4 in a room. You got curfew. You got the whole deal. You're doing walkthrough in the hotel. You got a team meal. You're doing blocking schemes against chairs. All the good stuff on a road game. And I was listening to Dion talk. Dion said, they said, "How did you play so well? Why'd you put a complete game together?" He goes, "Well, we had to go down to Florida on Wednesday because of the hurricane." He goes, "We got extra time on team bonding." He goes, "It changed everything." And he's right. That road game can really bring you together in the middle of a season, and can show you, how to play for each other in a hostile environment.
Yeah, and you come together. You come together as a team. You bond, and you come together, and you play for your brother, and you go in there together. You go in there as Michigan, and they're all yelling at you and booing you, and that's fun. And all that goes away when the game starts. when you start to play, the crowd sort of blends out. You do hear the sound, particularly during critical times, but it sort of just fades away because you're just trying to get your breath typically, and then trying to make sure you execute, get to play, know what you're doing. Now, I do want to say that our big challenge is going to be the interesting thing is the interesting comparison is the quarterbacks. We are playing another really gifted quarterback. He has thrown 0 interceptions. They are +2 on the year turnover ratio. We are -4. We can't have that. We can't allow them to have big punt returns. They also are not doing good. Their net punt is which is surprising to me. I can't figure it out. 29.1. That means they had one punt blocked, and that'll change things. And of course, we're 31.6. You got to be 38 yards.
We gave a gift last week. We should have thrown that wheel. We shouldn't have thrown the wheel. They should have thrown the wheel route to Donovan Edwards. Man, we threw that. He threw the post and it lobbed it up there. That was a gift.
Yeah, he missed it. Now Orgy is a really fine leader. The kids love him. Yeah. They all want him. The whole team likes him. And if you listen to his interviews, you're impressed by him. He's a fine young man. But this other kid is the same, Will Rogers. Not to be confused with the great comedian of many years ago, last century. But they say he's a great positive leader. And he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They say he's got really good in the pocket. He can navigate the pocket. He has a really strong offensive line, much like the one I had a year ago.
Jed Fish is always going to have a quarterback,
which they protect him. They had a quarterback last year too, but it wasn't. Coach DeBoer and Coach Sheridan had a great one in Pennick. So they protect the quarterback, and they know how to do it. This guy's passed for a lot of yards, and so I'm nervous about it. He's completing 78% of his passes. I think we're completing 55% of our passes. But, they're a balanced team. They're going to pass 48% and run it 52%. And under Orgy, we're passing the ball 29% of the time and almost always out of necessity. And then we're rushing 71% of the time. Can we play great defense, kick well, be tough, and run the ball and win? Yes, we've proven that, but it's very difficult to do.
They're running the coach. We're stopping the run. Washington's running the ball at a high clip right now. I think they average 7.8 yards a carry or something.
And let me look at this kid Coleman. Their running back has 27 plays over 10 yards. 21 of them are rushes.
That's insane.
And then they have 2 receivers. One of them you'll recognize, Giles Jackson, who played for us a couple of years and did a great job here, and then left for Washington. We saw him. He made an appearance last year in the national championship. He has, I think, 34 receptions. And they got a guy named Denzel Burton. I think Boston, Massachusetts.
7 touchdowns already, Coach.
7 TDs. So he's dangerous. So they are a West Coast team that throws the ball and catches it. We are a Midwest team that runs the ball, but has great difficulty
completing a pass.
Well, we can't drop the ball. We got to get open. They have to devise some things to take advantage of what he does well and Orgy.
We're building, Coach. He's going to keep getting better. He's going to keep.
He did improve. He threw a couple, routes into the middle, into the seams in the middle where the receiver.
86 yards. I thought he was one throw away, one drop away from getting that 100 yards.
I told you. I think it's the same equation. We're going to need 350 yards to beat Washington in offense. And how we do it is fine with me. If they wanted to run for 350, I'll take it. They'll never touch the ball if we do that because we'll just have the ball every down, but that's impossible to do, particularly against a stout defense like theirs with some talented kids. I think the 3 players they have back, I think they only have 4 starters back from last year's national championship playoff team. 4.
Oh, yeah.
They're all on defense, and they're all on defense. So I think we got to, be at least 66-33. I mean, we still had to throw the ball a third of the time and be more successful than 50% of the time on those passes.
Yeah.
We got to get it up there, where we're 60%, 70%. And we need to hit some big ones. It's amazing to me when I watch these teams take up all we have to do is look at last year when we'd hit those guys and we'd big chunks of yards. We earn it the hard way. It's hard to do it the way we're doing it. Now, we also wear down our opponent. It has an effect, a debilitating effect on our opponents because they get worn down. And we believe in ourselves. We believe we're tougher than the other guy, and we believe we're going to wear them down, and we believe we're going to be successful running the ball. And we have a really gifted runner in Mullings. I love Donovan. Donovan would have had a 60-yard pass reception for a touchdown, and he could have lobbed that ball. He just threw it back inside and was intercepted, and that was the start of our collapse. Had we hit Donovan, that would have been 7 more, and they would have probably been done. We would have forced them into being really one-dimensional, and then probably finished the game. That would have been too many points to overcome. But we can't dwell on that, but we have to learn on it. And we got to get better.
Well, one thing I noticed, and I was looking at Washington a little bit, they're 22 points a game. Their offense is really, high in the standings or whatever, but their yards and their passing and rushing is high, but their points are 82nd in the country. They're having trouble completing in the red zone and scoring in the red zone. So if our defense can hold them to 3 and not let them score in the red zone, I think that we can hold this quarterback who is a great player, and we can really give our offense some opportunity to succeed and not just, you had a 3 and out. Oh, it's going to be like this all game. Okay, well, we'll pick you up, and next time you got to, get that first down, and now we'll move the ball a little bit, and now you can get some momentum going on the road.
Well, most games, Sun Tzu said, most wars are won before they're fought. That's with preparation and, your mentality. And so I believe we'll go out there with the right mentality. We're going out there to win. We don't lose. These kids don't come from a losing culture, so they believe we're going to win. Now, once they get ahead, the other quote I saw that Patton said, he said, "God have mercy on my enemies because I shall not have any mercy on them." So we got to go. Now, this is not war, and there's plenty of wars out there, and it's a horrible thing and what's going on in the world right now. But when you have when you're in a contest or a competition, you have to be determined, and you have to have the will and the mental toughness and tenacity to win. And we have to approach this game this way. We have to believe in ourselves, believe in our quarterback. Everybody around the country say, "Oh, Michigan can't throw the ball across the street." Well, yes, we can. We have a great player in Colston Loveland. We have maybe the best tight end in the country. Our second team tight end has shown himself. Samaj Morgan is a quick little guy, and we got to start to get him open. I think Bell, although he dropped the ball last week, Ronnie Bell's little brother, can come along. So we got to just get better. We got to get better.
Yeah, I think you see Bell improving each week too. He was a quarterback until about 3 months ago. So there's a lot of promise there. We got to catch the ball when he throws it to us, like you said.
No drops. We make, and I'm gonna say it again. And I love our team, but we're making too many mistakes.
Yeah.
We can't be a turnover team. We can't get penalties in critical situations. We can't allow mistakes on the kicking game, whether it's a big punt return at a crucial time, or it's allowing them to cover an onside kick when we know it's coming. We got to be better than that. Now, in the end, the guy who did recover it was our boy, Mullings.
Yeah.
That's our guy. And so what a player he is. I mean, he's proven to be one of the great players in the country. And I sure enjoy watching him play because he's a determined, tough runner and a man. He is a man.
to play linebacker for 2 years and then switch over and play running back is, I mean, that's high
Well,
level stuff.
this is to Jim's credit, Jim Harbaugh. And, the great coaches are really good at player evaluation. And they can see a young guy and his talent and then see where he might be able to apply it somewhere where he might be even better than the current position he's playing. Coach Schembechler could do that. He was great at that. I mean, he was tremendous at it. He would say this guy's a player when none of us thought he was a player. And he'd say, watch this guy. This guy is going to do it. And now let's get him coached.
Well, what about Travis Hunter? You see what Travis Hunter's doing, Coach? It is 130 snaps a game, a pick on defense. I know it's not, Bama every week, but they're playing Division I good opponents. And, I mean, this kid is playing, unbelievable. I don't know if it's Deion's going to, he's going to run out his pitch count or what's going to happen, or if he just doesn't have, if he just doesn't have one. I mean, what's going on in college football right now? The two best players in the country at receiver, 17 years old. The best player in college football plays both ways every single snap. I mean, there's a lot of things.
I would say they're good. They're good players. I don't know if they're the best. They're good. Those two kids at Texas are good. The kid at the old Abaku, I don't mean to pronounce the name of Ohio State is great, but that freshman is out of this world. The Smith kid down there.
I'm telling you, Ryan Williams and Smith.
Yeah. And Ohio State is a good team. They'll have a bigger challenge this week. But Michigan State had some opportunities. They had, Michigan State is coming along. Now, they have to go out to Oregon. Nothing that Coach Smith is not unaccustomed to, having been at Oregon State. So he's going to be able to prepare his team. But they're coming. They're coming along. Michigan State and Indiana, and there's some of these Illinois. These are Rutgers, Coach Siano. These are good teams, and they're playing as a team, and there's a lot of good coaching in this league. And the young coach at Oregon's a tremendous coach. I think he's just starting to get that team together. And he has perhaps one of the top quarterbacks in the country, too, along with a kid at Indiana who's lighting it up for them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
I like watching I wish we would have got – I don't want to say that because I love our quarterback, but I like the kid down in Miami. Yeah. That play he made to win that game was unbelievable. That was a Heisman moment right there to keep them undefeated.
I think people know that we were vied to get him, and we were unable to land him. Yeah. So, and we thought, we thought, Coach Schembechler says, I don't want to hear I thought. I don't want to hear we thought. I hate that. I thought. And there's an excuse why you didn't succeed, but we did not get him. We were not able to land him for whatever reason. I don't know the inside story. I heard he got 1.5 from Miami, and somehow we couldn't come up with the money. Of course, Mr. Portnoy has assured us that's not going to happen again. But, look, we're focused on this team. Well, Alex Orji, get better, Alex. Lead us. Let the great players, Grant and Mason Graham, lift us up, lift up the team. Josiah Stewart, get back in there, man. We need you. We need you to play like you played against SC. That Moss, the quarterback at SC, still goes to sleep thinking about him.
Number 0.
He sees him in his nightmares. And we need those guys. We can ill afford to have our great players out of the lineup. That said, if somebody goes down, the next man has to come up and play better than he thought he could play in order to help sustain our team and our drive and our march to what we hope is a championship. First thing we're going to do is go out there, silence the crowd, and not let Washington get up, and not let this kid throw it around the park on us. Let's get a couple kicks. Let's get him. Let's let him know he's going to get hit, even if he completes the pass. Let's let him know he will get hit.
Well, this is what I was going to say to you, Coach. We're back on to Washington. This is, we're here. It's this week. We're ready for Saturday. I'm excited to just
in Washington with 2 losses in the league. I think you have 2 losses in the league. You're out.
Yeah.
You're not going to play on in the championship game in Indianapolis. I believe that. Now I could be wrong, and it's been done. Coach Miles won a national championship with 2 losses.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but it is rare, and so we
But
just
what I was saying, coaches, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. I think our special teams are what is going to be the deciding factor on Saturday. I'm looking
They
around
better tackle the damn punt returner.
all our
They
mismatches.
better cover. They better cover because I block punt and all that stuff. I can remember that vaguely, but I really remember the punt return, and I remember them falling on the ball where they would have had a chance to tie us or even go ahead and beat us.
Well, so what do you think our key to victories are? Let's wrap this up. What do you think our key to victory? You said you think our defensive line. That's it. You think we need our defensive line to show up, or
We have to pressure
where do you
this
think
quarterback.
where do we win this ball game, Coach?
We cannot. We cannot turn the ball over. When we do, and we allow the other team a short field, or allow them to get motivate them with a big turnover, and give them a chance to score easily or on a short field. We can't do that. We just cannot do it. And if we get ahead, we cannot turn the ball. We just can't turn it over. We can't. We're not built to overcome big deficits.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to do that. And when that happens, you get behind. So we'll throw Warren in there, Davis or something like that. You're behind then, and it becomes very difficult to be successful. We have to be balanced. We have to maintain possession of ball. We got to beat them up because that's what we do. We are more physical than the other team. That's who we are. So we are Joe Frazier. We're not Ali. We got to go in there and pound and be successful and take care of the ball and allow our most gifted players and have our most gifted players express their ability within the context of the defense and make big plays for us. And that would be sacks. That would be pressures. Mason and Grant, they make the quarterback reset their feet almost always. The guy can't sit back there with those guys because they're coming at him, even when 2 guys are holding him onto those guys. Big Grant, he was, he had 3 guys on him. They're double teaming him and Mason. And then we have players like Josiah and Stewart. And then when we blitz, we got to get home. So I think the keys to the game is, like you said, well, how we built. We got to run the ball and we got to get positive yardage. We got to hit a couple passes and we got to protect. When we do pass, we got to try to protect Orgy. But we got to play great defense. We got to rely on our defense. We got to ask them to come up with a couple of turnovers to help us, and we have to kick well. No kicking mistakes. We got to win the kicking game. We got to have a net punt of well over 38 yards with no returns. And if we can block one here or there, or steal the ball like our defense did last week, that's going to be, that goes a long way in helping us win the game. And we can do it. We've proven we can do it. The recipe is there. I would like to see us do a couple more creative things offensively. I think trick plays are good. I like trick plays.
And they're not trick plays if you practice them. They're not trick plays if you practice them.
Double reverse. I mean, no one's passing the ball. Double reverse. And some things like that we can do. And I watched a touchdown the other day, high school game, and it was the old Statue of Liberty. Where he faked it, and then he put the ball behind him like this, and the kid came back, took it around, and ran for a touchdown. So, I want to, and that keeps the defense on their toes. They can't just all pound in there, all 8 of them in a box. We got to get them out of that, and we got to complete a few passes. So, no mistakes. Let's not beat ourselves. We can ill afford to beat ourselves, win the kicking game, no turnovers, run the ball, run effectively, and hit a couple passes. And then let's get in this guy's face. Let's get in this quarterback's face. And let's let Washington know that we are more physical than them, and we came out here to win the game. We're undefeated in the conference, and we're going for a championship, period.
I love that. Let's go get one, Coach. Go Blue.
All right. Great, Rob. Love you. Talk to you.
Talk to you soon. All right, dog. Don't screw me up. What's up? That was good.
We did it.